comprehensive investigation into the homicide of Valeria Afanador in Cundinamarca, Colombia. The brutal homicide of 10-year-old Valeria Afanador in Cajicá, Cundinamarca, Colombia, on August 12, 2025, has left an indelible mark on the community, raising urgent questions about child safety, investigative thoroughness, and the complexities of identifying perpetrators in such cases. Valeria, a child with Down syndrome, vanished from the premises of Gimnasio Campestre Los Laureles, only to be found 18 days later, on August 29, 2025, submerged in the Rio Frio near her school. The case, marked by haunting CCTV footage of Valeria walking along a hedge as if conversing with someone, demands a rigorous, impartial investigation that leaves no individual above suspicion, including her parents. This essay provides an extensive analysis of the investigation, drawing on the CCTV evidence, the perpetrator's likely familiarity with the area, the necessity of examining family dynamics, and parallels with other filicide cases. It also offers detailed recommendations for advancing the investigation to ensure justice for Valeria and to prevent future tragedies. Circumstances surrounding Valeria's disappearance and homicide. On the morning of August 12, 2025, Valeria Afanador was last seen in a green area adjacent to her school, Gimnasio Campestre Los Laureles, in Cajicá, a municipality 40 kilometers north of Bogotá. Security footage captured a critical moment, Valeria walking slowly along a hedge, appearing to engage with someone on the other side, as if searching for an exit from the school premises. This behavior suggests she may have been lured by someone she knew or who exploited her trusting nature, a trait often associated with children with Down syndrome. The footage, described by local authorities as chilling, indicates a deliberate interaction, possibly with someone familiar to her, given her unhurried pace and lack of visible distress. After an exhaustive 18-day search involving the Colombian National Police, the Technical Investigation Corps, CTI, and community volunteers, Valeria's body was discovered by a local farmer in the Rio Frio, in a rural sector of Fagua near the school. The location had been searched previously, raising suspicions that the body may have been placed there after initial efforts, possibly to mislead investigators. The Cundinamarca governor, Jorge Emilio Rey Ancel, confirmed the find, and forensic teams from the National Institute of Legal Medicine and Forensic Sciences began analyzing the remains to determine the cause and time of death. The case has sparked widespread outrage, with public figures like Bogotá Councilman Daniel Briceno and ICBF Director Astrid Cáceres calling for swift justice. A $70 million reward and an Interpol yellow alert reflect the case's gravity and the international attention it has garnered. The imperative of investigating all individuals, including family. In any homicide investigation, particularly one involving a child, a fundamental principle is to consider every individual a potential suspect until conclusively cleared by evidence. This approach is critical in Valeria's case, given the nuanced evidence and the need to avoid premature assumptions. Analyzing the CCTV footage. The CCTV footage is a cornerstone of the investigation. Valeria's slow walk along the hedge, seemingly engaged in a conversation, suggests she was interacting with someone she trusted or who manipulated her vulnerabilities. Children with Down syndrome often exhibit heightened trust, making them susceptible to coercion by familiar individuals. The footage raises several questions. Who was on the other side of the hedge? Was it a school staff member, a family member, a peer, or a local resident? The absence of visible distress does not rule out coercion, as a trusted figure could have used persuasion rather than force. Investigators must conduct a frame-by-frame analysis of the footage, focusing on Valeria's body language, the direction she faced, and any subtle environmental clues, such as shadows or sounds, that might indicate another person's presence. Enhancing the footage using forensic video analysis tools could reveal additional details, such as reflections or movements in the background. Moreover, the school's security protocols must be scrutinized to determine how Valeria accessed the green area unsupervised, pointing to potential lapses in oversight that may implicate staff or others present that day. The case for investigating parents. Valeria's parents, particularly her mother, Luisa Cárdenas, have been vocal in their grief, with Cardenas publicly expressing hope during the search that Valeria was not taken by a stranger. While such statements reflect natural parental distress, they cannot exempt family members from scrutiny. Historical cases of filicide demonstrate that parents can be perpetrators, often motivated by complex factors such as mental health issues, domestic violence, or financial strain. For example, the 2016 case of Victoria Martins in Albuquerque, New Mexico, involved her mother, Michelle Martins, who admitted to enabling her daughter's murder by allowing her boyfriend and his cousin to abuse and kill the child. The case revealed a toxic home environment marked by drug abuse and neglect. Similarly, in 2023, Crystal Candelario of Cleveland, Ohio, was convicted of murdering her 16-month-old daughter by leaving her alone for 10 days, driven by personal stressor and mental health challenges. In Colombia, the 2024 murder of Maria José Estupiñán in Bogotá highlighted domestic violence as a precursor to child homicide, with the mother's partner as the perpetrator. These cases underscore the need to investigate Valeria's parents thoroughly. Key areas of focus include alibis and timelines. Verify the parents' whereabouts on August 12, 2025, using phone records, GPS data, and witness statements. Discrepancies in their accounts or unexplained gaps in their timeline should be probed. Family dynamics. Examine the Afanador household for signs of dysfunction, such as domestic violence, financial instability, or caregiving challenges, particularly given Valeria's special needs and the presence of her siblings, including triplets mentioned by her mother. Psychological profiles. Conduct psychological evaluations of the parents to assess for untreated mental health conditions, such as depression or personality disorders, which have been linked to filicide in cases like that of Andrea Yates, who killed her 5 children in Texas in 2001. Interactions with Valeria. Investigate the parents' relationship with Valeria, including their involvement in her daily care and education, to determine if neglect or inconsistent supervision played a role. Broader suspect pool. Beyond the parents, the investigation must encompass school staff, other students' parents, and local residents. Teachers, janitorial staff, or security personnel at Gimnasio Campestre Los Laureles may have had access to the green area and knowledge of Valeria's routines. The school's failure to prevent her departure suggests possible negligence or complicity, necessitating interviews with all employees present that day. Additionally, other parents or visitors to the school could have interacted with Valeria, exploiting her familiarity with them. The investigation should also consider peers, as children can sometimes be coerced into luring others, as seen in the 1993 James Bulger case in the UK, where 2 young boys abducted and killed a toddler. Perpetrator's familiarity with the area. The discovery of Valeria's body in the Rio Frio, in a previously searched area, strongly indicates that the perpetrator was intimately familiar with Cajicá's geography. The rural sector of Fagua, where the body was found, is not easily navigable by outsiders. The river's proximity to the school and the fact that the body was submerged suggest a calculated effort to conceal the crime, possibly by someone aware of the initial search patterns. This level of local knowledge points to a resident of Cajicá or a nearby municipality, such as Chía, Zipaquirá, or Tabio. The school's location in a semi-rural area, combined with the isolated nature of the green zone, further supports the hypothesis that the perpetrator knew the terrain well. They likely understood the school's layout, the hedge's blind spots, and the river's accessibility. This familiarity could belong to a parent, a school employee, or a local resident who frequented the area. The investigation should map out individuals with regular access to the school or its surroundings, including delivery personnel, groundskeepers, or community members involved in school activities. Comparative analysis with other cases. To contextualize Valeria's case, it is useful to examine other high-profile child homicides in Colombia and globally, particularly those involving familial or local perpetrators. Maria José Estupiñán, Colombia, 2024. This Bogotá case involved a 9-year-old girl killed by her mother's partner, highlighting domestic violence as a risk factor. The perpetrator's familiarity with the victim's home environment mirrors the potential local knowledge in Valeria's case. Gabriel Fernandez, USA, 2013. The Netflix documentary The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez exposed a case where an 8-year-old boy was tortured and killed by his mother and her partner, with social services failing to intervene despite warning signs. This case emphasizes the need to investigate Valeria's home environment for neglect or abuse. JonBenet Ramsey, USA, 1996. Although unsolved, this case initially focused on the parents due to inconsistencies in their accounts and the crime scene's location within the home. It serves as a cautionary tale about prematurely narrowing the suspect pool. These cases illustrate the diversity of motives and circumstances in child homicides, from domestic abuse to premeditated luring, reinforcing the need for a broad investigative approach in Valeria's case. Recommendations for further investigation. To advance the investigation and ensure justice for Valeria, the following detailed steps are recommended: enhanced forensic analysis. Autopsy and DNA. The National Institute of Legal Medicine and Forensic Sciences should prioritize a detailed autopsy to determine the cause of death, e.g., strangulation, drowning, or trauma, and estimate the time of death. DNA evidence, such as hair or fibers on Valeria's body, should be compared against a database of local residents, school staff, and known offenders. Environmental evidence. Analyze soil, pollen, or water samples from the Rio Frio and Valeria's clothing to trace her movements and confirm whether she was killed at the discovery site or moved post-mortem. Unrelated remains. Investigate the dismembered male remains found during the search for any connection to Valeria's case, as this could indicate a broader pattern of criminal activity in the area. Advanced CCTV and digital forensics. Use AI-based video enhancement tools to clarify the CCTV footage, focusing on potential reflections, shadows, or audio cues that could identify the person Valeria was interacting with. Analyze phone records and social media activity of individuals in Valeria's circle to identify unusual communications or location data from August 12, 2025. Cross-reference school surveillance with nearby traffic cameras to track vehicles or individuals entering or leaving the area during the critical time window. Comprehensive suspect interviews. Conduct polygraph tests and behavioral analysis interviews with key figures, including parents, school staff, and local residents, to detect inconsistencies or deception. Interview Valeria's siblings, particularly the triplets, in a child-friendly setting to gather insights into family dynamics or any unusual interactions Valeria may have had. Family and social context review. Engage social workers to assess the Afanador family's living conditions, focusing on caregiving responsibilities, financial stability, and any history of domestic disputes. This should include interviews with neighbors, teachers, and extended family. Review Valeria's medical and educational records to identify any signs of neglect or inconsistent care, particularly given her Down syndrome diagnosis. Community and school investigation. Map out all individuals with access to Gimnasio Campestre Los Laureles, including part-time staff, volunteers, or contractors, and verify their backgrounds for prior offenses or suspicious behavior. Conduct a safety audit of the school to identify vulnerabilities, such as unsecured exits or inadequate supervision, that allowed Valeria to leave unnoticed. Engage the Cajicá community through anonymous tip lines and town hall meetings to gather information without fear of reprisal, given the likelihood of a local perpetrator. Geographic and behavioral profiling. Develop a geographic profile of the crime scene, focusing on the Rio Frio and the school's green area, to narrow down potential suspects based on their proximity and familiarity with the area. Collaborate with forensic psychologists to create a behavioral profile of the perpetrator, considering traits such as manipulation, local knowledge, and possible prior interactions with Valeria. Systemic reforms. Advocate for improved child safety protocols in Colombian schools, including mandatory CCTV coverage of all exits and real-time monitoring systems. Strengthen coordination between police, social services, and the ICBF to ensure rapid response to missing child cases, addressing systemic delays seen in Valeria's search. Launch public awareness campaigns in Cundinamarca to educate communities about child safety and the risks of exploitation, particularly for children with disabilities. Broader implications for Colombia. Valeria's case is not an isolated incident but part of a troubling pattern of violence against children and women in Colombia. The 41 women reported missing in Cúcuta between January and August 2024, as reported by local authorities, highlight the broader issue of gender-based violence and child vulnerability. The Colombian government's commitment to a $70 million reward and Interpol's involvement signal a recognition of the case's severity, but systemic challenges, such as underfunded social services and inconsistent law enforcement training, must be addressed. Valeria's Down syndrome diagnosis adds another layer of urgency, as children with disabilities are disproportionately targeted for abuse, according to global studies like those from the World Health Organization. The public's response, amplified by social media posts on X and statements from officials like Governor Ray and Councilman Briceno, reflects a collective demand for accountability. However, the investigation must resist public pressure to rush to conclusions and instead prioritize evidence-based outcomes. The case also underscores the need for international cooperation, as seen in Interpol's Yellow Alert, to ensure that potential suspects who may have fled Colombia are apprehended. Conclusion. The homicide of Valeria Afanador is a devastating reminder of the vulnerabilities faced by children, particularly those with special needs, and the complexities of investigating such crimes. The CCTV footage of Valeria walking along the hedge, possibly engaging with her killer, points to a perpetrator who exploited her trust and knew the local area intimately. By investigating all individuals, including her parents, and drawing lessons from cases like those of Victoria Martins and Maria José Estupiñán, authorities can avoid overlooking critical evidence. The recommendations outlined, ranging from advanced forensics to community engagement, offer a roadmap for uncovering the truth and preventing future tragedies. Valeria's memory demands not only justice but a broader commitment to protecting Colombia's children through systemic reform and unwavering vigilance.